What a week, what a week, what a week. I hope y'all like low vibes tonight because your girl is tired
What
with
a week, what a week, what a week.
I hope
And
y'all
I'm going to
like
have
low
to
vibes tonight
go on a
because
30
your girl
second
is
little.
tired
What
with
a week, what a
oh
week,
my
what a
gosh, a little
week. I
30
hope y'all
second
like low
hiatus. Hold
vibes
on a
tonight
second. I
go
have
on
too
a
many
30
tabs
second little. What
open.
a week, what a
Oh
week,
my
what a
gosh, a little
week. I
30
hope y'all
second
like low
hiatus. Hold
vibes
on a
tonight
second. I
go
have
on
too
a
many
30
tabs
second little. What a week, what
I sure hope the echo's gone, everyone. Don't know what happened, but what a week, what a week, what a week.
I sure hope the
Technically,
echo's
it's
gone,
been two
everyone. Don't
weeks,
know what happened, but what a
and
week,
it's
what a
not.
week, what a
Listen,
week.
give me 2 seconds. I'll be and I am back. Hopefully that has worked. I'm not sure, but hopefully y'all don't hear echo. Hey everyone, welcome back to What a Week, What a Week. I am your girl Kim, aka Kim with the Gems. And tonight we're gonna keep it on low vibes, meaning no bright lights. Hope you got a glass of something. I'm technically drinking water because most of y'all know I'm on a 5K a day lock in. And so, yeah, today we are going to talk about quite a few things. Everything from, Auntie Tab. Y'all may call her Auntie Tab. I'm going to call her Cousin Tab because I think it would be disrespectful for me to call her Auntie Tab. We're going to talk about Auntie Tab and, what she said about 6 days ago that, had the interwebs in an uproar. I'm going to give my take on it. I want to hear yours. We're going to talk about, listen, why maybe the timing wasn't the best for Auntie Tab to come out with that statement. Another Black woman being fired, right? The jobs reports are real. And so we're going to talk about, again, what's happening, even at the highest levels of employment for us, for Black women. Um, we're going to talk about trauma in the media space. We have journalists who are trained to cover hard hitting stories with little to no emotion, breaking down on camera. And let me just add a little caveat there. I am a trained journalist. I have a degree. One of the reasons I knew I could never be a reporter or what they would call an on the beat reporter is because during one of our classes in journalism, you know, we had to get up in the middle of the night, go catch a story, right? And try to interview people on the street. When you start realizing that you're going to have to cover stories where people literally lost their lives in fires, their houses burning down, parents losing their kids to violence, and having to try to address them while literally they can't even breathe or speak, I knew I could not be a journalist. But some of the journalists who could cover stories like that are having a hard time covering what's going on in today's world. And I'm going to say hi to the Gym Nation in a minute. But yeah, so the trauma that's happening not only outside of the media spaces, but also inside of the media spaces. And we also heard, about other big name journalists like Joy Reid. We're also going to talk about something that hasn't, I don't know if it's been getting a lot of press. I haven't seen anything, but I also haven't been that attached to the press today. But what is going on with the media that is supposed to be covering us and protecting us and bringing certain people on their platform? And yes, we're going to talk about the Breakfast Club, which is probably the largest media outlet that targets Gen Y, Gen Z, and a good portion of Gen X. And so we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about what's going on in DC with Mayor Mario Bowser. We're going to talk about Florida staying Floriding. And hopefully we'll be able to get through all of that. There's a whole list of things I want to get through, but I am literally going to be out of here hopefully in an hour. I'm going to stop talking within an hour. Let's just say that. So let me say hi to some of y'all, and then we will get into the topics. And if there's any topic that you want to talk about, put it in the chat and I will try to get to it. So let's just see. Hey, Moni Juliet, good to see you. Hey, Just One, welcome. The ABX girl is in the building. No, it wasn't Mercury in retrograde. It's me on 4 hours of sleep. That's what that was. So I had too many tabs open. Hey, Siobhan Muriel, good to see you. One of the members that I owe content to, but stay tuned because we're going to do a game night the end of this month, and I'm going to send that email out hopefully by this weekend. Hey, Christine, my moderator with the mostest. I don't know what random. You can tell I'm a trained journalist. Yeah, I haven't done that job in a long time, but it carried over to my career. Yeah. No, listen. We're gonna get into that. Hey, Casper 330. Oh no. Hola, ¿cómo estás, mis prima? ¿Qué pasó? So let's go ahead and get into this. Is kind of crooked, but hopefully y'all are work with me. But I did want to start off talking about, cousin Tabitha, Tabitha Brown. And I'm not going to say nothing bad about Auntie Tab, right? Or cousin Tab. But I am going to say in this instance, I just think the timing was off. I think the timing for her message was super off. I believe that what is happening, and we're going to break down, you know what? Let's do that. So I stop jibber jabbering and let's just get into what Auntie Tab had to say. And then we'll take it from there. Hopefully I'm going to pull up her channel, and I'm putting in Auntie Tabitha. And she's actually, I am Tabitha Brown. So let me pull the screen up, and then we're just going to break down what she had to say. I don't know if you all had a chance to listen, but how come it's not? Okay, there she is. Now let me just add to the screen. Hey, cousin Crystal, I saw the chat. Hey, good to see you. Or hola, ¿cómo estás? Okay, so we're going to listen to Auntie Tabitha as soon as I can find. I have so many tabs open just simply because we have a lot to talk about, and they start to disappear after a while, so I need to close some out in order to find do me a favor, go ahead. I didn't even introduce myself. Hey, y'all, what's up? I'm Kim, aka Kim with the Gems. On this channel, we talk all things wellness, travel, and money from a cultural perspective, from a cultural point of view. And today we are literally going to talk about what a week, the breaking news stories that are affecting our community. And so this is one of them. And you know, Auntie Tabitha, she be getting y'all with the
Hello.
hopefully y'all can hear that. Let me know if y'all can or if y'all can't. But I'm gonna go ahead and continue to play.
There. Real quick. That this is not to discourage you, because I want us to be clear about that first. Okay? Um, you gotta been in this place for a long time. Okay? Now listen, you got good ideas. Baby, you got good ideas. Your execution is not as good. Okay? Um, your follow through, not as good. The ideas though are great. Entrepreneurship is not for everybody, and that doesn't mean it's not for you. But right now, these last few months, few years, you know what I'm talking about.
Okay, let's pause there for a second. And I don't know if I hit the pause button or not. But what I want to say about that is the last few months, she should have never mentioned the last few months, right? We understand what's been going on the last few months, right? The last few years have been trying for many people. And so the fact that while the last few years she's been on the incline, the years before that, right, she had to suffer through something. She had to push her way and press her way through some things. So when I talk about timing being off, that's kind of what I mean. So let's go ahead and finish listening to what Auntie Tab. So I want to break down what she said, because I think there's some truth to what she said, but I also think there's some it's some of it's insensitive. And unfortunately, I closed out. Did I close out? I did close out. Let's just try that again. Let me go to my history and just pull her up. Okay. So yeah, I think and maybe it's not insensitivity, maybe it's just tone deaf, or not paying attention to what's really going on. So again, I don't want to completely berate her at all, but I do want us to just pay attention to, and again, realizing that the majority of her audience is Black, right? Black women. And
Real
so,
quick. That this is not to discourage you, because I want us to be clear about that first. Okay? Hello there. Real quick. That this is not to discourage you, because I want us to be clear about that first. Okay? Um, you gotta been in this place for a long time.
let me know if y'all
Okay? Now listen, you got good ideas. Baby, you got good ideas. Your execution is not as good. Okay? Um, your follow through, not as good. The ideas though are great. Entrepreneurship is not for everybody. And that doesn't mean it's not for you, but right now, these last few months, few years, you know what I'm talking about. Baby, it ain't been working for you. Okay? And you're doing a lot of robbing Peter to pay Paul. Okay, you done got yourself in some mess, and it's time for you to get a job. You hear me? You just gonna need to get a job for a little while. Okay, it don't mean your ideas ain't good. Okay, it don't mean that maybe one day you could be a good entrepreneur, but you have proven to yourself and everybody else that you owe money to. Okay, um, that it ain't working right now. Okay, it ain't worked for a while. It actually has never worked yet. Doesn't mean it won't ever work. But right now, you need to go to work. you're going to need to get a job. Okay? And then keep working towards it. But at least you'll have a job while you are pursuing that thing. But right now, you need to get a job, baby. All right? That's it. I love you. Now go about your business. Okay, have a good night. Tomorrow have a good day. But even if you can't have a good one, don't you dare go messing.
So I see some comments coming in. I'll get to them in a second. I'm going to give my quick take on what she said. Again, the emphasis of get a job, get a job, get a job in this climate, tone deaf, period, exclamation point. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. The tone deafness of it is concerning in the sense that she's been through this, right? She's been through trying to follow her dreams and understanding that getting a job is maybe not the best term. Like doing something to generate income now, I think would be a better way to phrase it. Driving Uber, doing things like that, getting a job, right? When over 300 and let's just call it 320,000 Black women since January of this year have lost their jobs. And I'm going to play some audio now to support, my thesis in this. And so while I understand her, well, let me just say this. I don't even know if I understand why she felt the need to come on and say that, right? I don't know that I understand that need, because you have people that go to FLA to become actors and actresses, and we hear about it all the time, sleeping in their cars, sleeping, couch surfing and all the things, until they either realize their dreams or they realize that the dreams are turning into a nightmare. And so I believe that if you're going to tell people, things that aren't working out because you're not meant to be an entrepreneur either now or even in the future, which is why I also hate using the word entrepreneur, because you don't have to be an entrepreneur to make money. Like, anyway, that's a whole deeper conversation. But I do believe that giving people options, right? So, okay, maybe somebody personally owes her money. Maybe somebody personally has done something to her. But guess what? Who don't have people that's working that owe you money, right? Have a job, been had a job, stay having a job, but they still owe you money, right? Things still may not be falling into place with them because they mismanaged their money. But again, there are so many other options. And one of the options that I often preach, and y'all know it here, like there are other countries where you can thrive. I just literally saw a video today. I follow this guy who's in Thailand, and he goes to people's apartments and houses and does interviews with them. This sister from Chicago had a job, but was traumatized at the job, right? And she now lives in Bangkok, Thailand. She moved there right before the earthquake, has a beautiful place, and she's an entrepreneur and she's thriving in a much happier setting. So giving options to me was, I think, a missed opportunity versus just saying, get a job, get a job, get a job. You don't know what people's mental situations are in this climate. And you're saying, get a job. We talked about it last November, December. There's a whole video on how Black women are working as in a highly depressive state because of all of the changes, all of the anxiety surrounding keeping their job. And so I do want to play this other piece of audio. I'm not going to play the video because they be tripping, but and when I say they be tripping, meaning they may the video may not live So I do want to talk about, I follow, these other gentlemen, and that's why I knew. So this was going to be part. I did this thumbnail before they even came out with this video last night, but the brothers from Earn Your Leisure talked about it last night, and I just want you to hear what they're saying.
The like button and share. Let's talk about the U.S. economy. So
I hope you can hear it.
Is the U.S. economy already breaking down? With only 22 jobs added in August and unemployment rising, are we headed? So, but then also, this is an interesting stat that we put on the EYO page as far as the article is concerned. That
the labor market
for the first time.
Yeah.
Okay, so there are more Americans out of work than there are jobs open for the first time since April of 2021.
That was the pandemic time.
So, okay.
Did y'all hear that?
This is pretty disturbing situation. There's the latest bureau in July, job openings dropped to 176,000. Dropped 176,000 to 7.1 million, while the number of unemployed people rose to 7.2 million. So simple supply and demand here, and says a lot about the times that we're in. But does this paint a broader picture of a downturn in the economy, or is it just something that we're going to have to deal with as far as people not being able to get jobs because it's a new world that we live in?
It's a new world, and a lot of it has been caused by the macro issue of the
there's a lot of people that don't work that are not even rich, but like there's a lot of people. The number of people that don't work that's still surviving is high.
It's very high.
What are they doing for money? I'm not 100% sure, but it's gonna be a lot less. Like, okay. The whole thing with even when Gary Vee was saying, like, you need to start selling things online.
So
online shopping is a big.
He goes in to talk about there are no jobs. There are not enough jobs for people. There are simply not enough jobs for people. So when you tell people, especially your core audience, which are people at the bottom of the hiring list, right now, just go get a job. Just go get a job. How are you contributing to, and let me say, saying that without putting in context, right? Baby, it may be difficult. It may be, in her little way, it may take you 2, 3, 4, 5 years to get a job, but having additional income that you can be guaranteed may take the weight off of, because it's not like we're going out today. And when I say we, I mean us, Black women, Black people are going out today and in 2 weeks getting hired. Now you can do that with a gig. You can drive Uber, you can, do all host of things. I don't want to just keep calling out driving Uber because there's so many things you can do. But having a gig to supplement your income while you are doing the thing that you're trying to do, rather that's becoming an entrepreneur or whatever, actor, singer, whatever that passion is for you, having an income to to pretty much carry the weight while you are seeking that out, absolutely great advice. But get a job. And again, it could be semantics for some people. Hell, she could have been talking to her sister, right? Who knows? But the point is, when you hear the statistics, the authentic statistics of what is going on in this country and what we talked about was going to happen last year, how they were coming for our necks at the federal level, the private level, they're trying to get us on our knees so we have no options other than the ones that they place in front of us. Telling someone to get a job, to me, was someone, I think I saw it, disheartening. It was disheartening, right? And so if you get a chance to listen to the entire audio from Earn Your Leisure, and maybe not the entire, because some of it is real specific about stocks, but that part about the labor market and the gig economy, go ahead and listen to it. But I wanted to start with that. And I wanted to say to my peoples who may be struggling, right? Oh, child. Nobody told me the road is going to be easy, right? When we think about times before we were able to get jobs, right? Before they would allow us to do anything except clean their houses, take care of their babies, we found ways to make money without going into corporate or getting a job. We did gigs, whatever those gigs were, right? And again, a whole host of ways you can think about doing gigs. There are so many ways, and I'm going to give this as an example. I was listening, so I listen to a lot of people, not a lot. I listen to certain people that inspire me, right? And there's this one channel, and I can't remember the name of her channel, but she interviewed a guest, and I can't remember the name of the guest. And if I remember, when I find it, I'll put it in the description. But he talked about the most simplest ways to start a business right now. And y'all could call it an entrepreneur. I don't call it that because it tends to scare people, right? The simplest ways to make money right now. And it just came to me, and I believe God is telling me to leave it here. And if you pick it up, if it makes sense for you. But if you are a creative person, and right now we're going into the holidays, right? You go into the supermarket, hell, Christmas stuff is up already. But before Christmas, you have Halloween, you have Thanksgiving. And if you're, into other holidays, there's some there too, like the Jewish holidays, things like that. If you are a creative person and you have a cell phone, child, all you got to do is put your creative ideas to work and start. If you're in a place, and if you're in a town where there's a whole lot of houses, you could start doing flyers. If you don't want to go on social media, putting it in people's mailboxes, if that's allowed, right? I don't want you to do anything illegal. Or, if you can go door to door and say, listen, I decorate people's porches for Halloween. I'll charge you $500. And if you want me to come take it down, an extra $600. And you determine your price. I'm just giving you a simple number for me to do quick math. You do 10 houses, that's $5,000. You do 10 houses with $100 cleanup to come back and take everything down, that's $6,000 for one holiday alone. I said 10 houses. Now multiply that. Do 20 houses. And if you enjoy creative design, that is something so simple. And you can have different packages. You can have let me just keep it simple. You can have the silver, gold, platinum package, right? Or you can have the Maybach, you can have the Cadillac, or you can have the Ford Focus package, right? And price it that way. So if it's a bigger house, maybe you're going to charge them to do the front and the backyard or whatever it is, $1,500, right? And if you get 10 of those houses, that is $15,000. I was like, listen, child, I'm not gonna be here for Halloween, but shoot, I may stay or come back and offer my services, because you got Halloween, you got Thanksgiving, you got Christmas, you got Hanukkah, you got New Year's, where you can offer these services without having to be an entrepreneur and necessarily go get a job. When I do this course, Decode Your Talent and Design Your 5+ Figure Income, I don't normally have creatives like that, people who do design. But I'm going to start talking about that, because I think that is such a brilliant idea. And if I find the video, I will put the link in the chat. But again, so that to me was just a little disheartening in the area that the timing is off. Now, if we were having this conversation in 2019, where jobs were plentiful, and I know there's supposed to be a September surge for jobs, but the expectation is, again, as it comes to Black and brown people, that surge is not going to look like it used to look, right? If it's a surge at all. And again, I just didn't understand the timing for it. And I just really hope that, she was talking to someone specific and she just recorded herself doing it. Because the fact is, there are no jobs. And getting into the fact that there are no jobs, let's just go ahead and look at exactly a clear example of what that means. So I'm sure y'all have heard, some of y'all have heard this story, but I want y'all to really be aware of just how high this hate goes, child. This just how high this hate goes. So Miss Lisa Cook of the Federal Reserve has been fired by the man in the White House. No one from the Federal Reserve has been fired in over 111 years, y'all. That's 111 years. So we're talking 1924 was the last time somebody from the Federal Reserve was fired. And then the next time it happens to be a Black woman, the first and only Black woman to have been hired, um, in the Federal Reserve. Luckily, right now, Jerome Powell is sticking by her, and they're challenging it. But the fact that the Justice Department officially began examining mortgage fraud allegations into and against Lisa Cook, the Federal Reserve governor, who is challenging a Trump administration effort to remove her from her job in a move she said is designed to erode the central bank's independence. And it's designed to erode the central bank's independence, but it's also designed, you gotten too big for your britches. This is not what we want. You see, he doesn't have any powerful Black people in his cabinet. And I'm not talking about the HUD. I'm not talking about HUD at all. I'm talking about people that sit in the situation room with him, if he even goes, right? I'm talking about people that knows exactly what the next move is and the next move 5-10 years from now, not the people that are not required to be in these highly classified, highly sensitive meetings. So he is trying to, I believe, get rid of anyone that he deems should not be there. And we know who that means. We definitely know who that means. Oh, child, let me get rid of that. So the good news is, she's fighting it. The sad news is it will probably go to the Supreme Court. And, they recently made a ruling. That's not on my list for tonight, but they just made a ruling about Los Angeles after a lower court said that the invasion of Los Angeles with the National Guard was illegal. Well, was it today or yesterday? The Supreme Court was like, no, it's legal. And so when it gets to the Supreme Court, we know what that may look like. But when you talk about Black women getting jobs, you talk about the 300 plus thousand that have been terminated in the past 7-8 months. You talk about the people at the highest level. We can also go to the National Archives. The list goes on and on of Black women who are being forcefully told to leave their jobs. So saying go get a job, unless you're talking about, very low wages, low paying. Anyway, yeah. So again, I don't want to sound elitist, but I do want to just bring to, attention. And I hope you guys saw that, but this was the article that I was going over, and it's on Associated Press if you want to look at it later. So yeah, so talking about getting jobs, I think it was super tone deaf with everything that's going on. There's no jobs to get. The people that have jobs, Black women that are, currently have jobs, are worried about if they're going to continue to have a job. And so again, my wish would be that if you are in such a position where things are rough and money's funny, look for additional options. And I just gave one that I heard about online that I think is brilliant, especially if you're creative. You don't need any money for startup. You get them to pay you 50% up front. You go get the stuff from the store, from the whatever stores you could get the stuff from, right? So if it's you get something for $500, $600, you take $300, you start the process. Like, you don't need a lot of money to make money. You really don't. You just need imagination, and you need to be willing to do the work. And so, yeah. And again, the prices that I just threw out to you are lowball prices, depending on the areas that you live in or the areas that you target. And what he said was she makes over $300,000 between now and Thanksgiving. She doesn't even work Christmas. $300,000. Now, I don't know, she may do stuff inside. I don't know what she does, but this was one example that he gave. So again, I just wish she would have gave options. Now let's move on to, oh gosh. This breaks my heart, but for some of you, you may have heard about Mayor Browser, and we're going to hear her latest. If you live in, I think there's maybe one or two people here that live in the DMV area. So we're going to listen to what she has to say, which is much different than what she said before. But let's just go ahead and listen to her latest news conference. Sorry, y'all. I'm gonna do it again.
We're driving crime down, but while they're here, how can we most strategically use them to accelerate the work that MPD has done? What has not worked during this period of time is ICE terrorizing communities, especially with masks, and especially not having enough information about where people are. What hasn't worked, in my opinion, and it hasn't been efficient and is not on mission, is National Guard troops, especially from other states. The next point is, how do we exit from this emergency that the president declared? And so all of those things are part of our post-emergency planning and the framework that we will put in place to lead that.
Okay.
Our North Star is protecting.
I just want to say that before I comment on what she said, I just want, because I'm going to give her grace, and I'm going to tell you why I'm going to give her grace. And that is based on what happened in Florida, which is Christine's home, Christine's home state. And so I'm just going to share this little reminder, and understanding that DC is a federal territory. So let's just use this as a little reminder as to what happened in Florida. Now, this was from 5 weeks ago, and these are the words of Mayor Jerry Demings from Orange County in Florida. And he said he is not going to be bullied by the state attorney general. So let's just listen to what he said 5 weeks ago.
Force and sign an addendum to the county jail's 287G agreement with ICE.
If there are some, prohibitive resource constraints, and those would need to be laid out. But it seemed like the county just decided they weren't going to do this. There wasn't a whole lot of explanation or justification.
Demings isn't backing down after Uthmeyer put him and the rest of the commissioners on notice that the governor could remove them from office.
It has been said in many ways that unjust laws are no laws at all.
Demings says it shouldn't be the responsibility of county correctional officers to transport inmates with immigration holds to other facilities, such as Alligator Alcatraz in the Everglades.
When the federal government asks us to take and pull our resources out of the jail to go handle a federal responsibility to transport them to other locations, indirectly what they're doing and directly what they're doing is making our community unsafe, making our jail unsafe.
At a roundtable in Tampa Wednesday morning.
So we have a track record of doing what needs to be done to ensure compliance.
Governor Ron DeSantis reminded Floridians he's used his power before to suspend elected officials for neglect of duty.
We've made it very clear. This is not a policy debate at this point. The policy debate was at the beginning of the year when I called the special session. Our law in Florida is that you have to do your best maximum efforts to assist with immigration enforcement.
The mayor says efforts by the governor.
So I just wanted to play that clip. You caught the important part. Basically, at the end of the day, he went from saying he would not be bullied, this is the mayor, to the governor saying, listen, say what you want, but this is no longer a debate, which led to, it led to this updated, I'm trying to say 4 weeks, so a week after that defiant position, he came out, and this I'm talking about the mayor, with a new statement that we're going to listen to right now. Let me pull up the screen this time. There we go. Let's take a listen, y'all.
By saying that you're here this afternoon because I signed the ICE agreement. Yes, I signed the damn thing because we really had to. We were put in a tough spot. I can't let our entire board of county commissioners and myself be removed from office. I say that with all sincerity because of the role, the responsibilities that we have here within this community to take care of our community and look out for our residents. I did not want to be in a position where the governor will have the opportunity to insert his minions in the roles to lead this county. Because of that, with the advice of the county attorney's office, we decided today that we're still several days away from Tuesday.
So the agony of defeat was written all over his face, as it was with Mayor Bauer. And the game of politics is a dirty game. And I genuinely believe that Mayor Demings felt that was his only option because they would have removed him. And then who would they have put in place, right? So while I do not agree, and let me just say, I've heard stories about Howard University students being picked up for no reason, detained. And there are directives for, all the students to make sure they travel in groups, they carry their papers and this and that. And our homecoming is just a little over a month away. And I don't know how I feel about going to DC, not for safety reasons, but for supporting DC. And especially just knowing how we take over DC during that time. So I'm saying all that to say I'm giving Mayor Bauer a little bit of grace in the sense that of all the cities, right? She has the least amount of power because she is literally running a federal district. She is literally running a federal district. And so while I appreciate so much how the mayor in Florida came out, was like, yes, I signed the damn thing. Like it was the agony of defeat, the agony of defeat. And again, if you haven't watched House of Cards to understand how this politics game is ruthless. And again, I don't know who like he could have threatened, who was threatened harm. Like it goes so deep. So I'm giving him grace as I'm giving Mayor Bauer grace, because sometimes it may be better to stay and try to fight within than to, put a stake in the ground and then not know who's going to come to take your place. And then there may be no fight within, right? So some battles he may win, but anyway, so I just wanted to address what's going on in DC, and that now it appears that the mayor is now complicit. If you have any, and when I say complicit, I'll use the word Letitia James. She's capitulated, but I don't think she had an option, right? And so just know what's happening in DC. There's no big fight right now as to the presence of the National Guard and other law enforcement. And so, child, it's been a lot. Oh, yes, child. Yeah. We see what he did to Gullum, right? And yeah, I agree. Yeah, so anti-ownership. It was disheartening to hear that. I agree. Again, I kind of understood, like we are in some hard times, right? And the reason why, again, I go so hard on this channel, even with 4 hours of sleep right now, is because it's going to get worse before it gets better. And having an opportunity to be part of this community and inviting you all to be part of this community is going to, matter of fact, that will lead me into, I wasn't going to play this right now, but let me go ahead and play. She's the legal hype, something like that, but I'm going to play what she just said earlier today about community. So let me go ahead and play that now, because that kind of leads it, and then we'll get to the rest of the stories, and then we'll be out of here. So no. You know what? Since I see this first and I could close it out, let me just show you what I was going to share with you about the Breakfast Club and why we need to really pay attention to the platforms that we listen to. And so I'm not going to play any of the audio. I am not supporting this video one iota, but I want you to see who was just recently interviewed. And I want to say it was yesterday. And for those of you that don't know, this man's name is Ben Shapiro. He is one of the co-founders of the Daily Wire. Him and Tucker Carlson are in a heated head-to-head fight, calling each other the most disgusting names. But the most disgusting part about giving this man a voice is the things that he says about the audience. I'm going to try to pull up, and I might not play the audio, but this man hates us. Hates us. Basically talks about, he was one who believes there's no systematic racism, that they're the ones being oppressed. We're not being oppressed. He's also made it clear that Black people, basically, he could never live around them. And again, I don't want to really play the audio, but I was gonna, you know what? I'm not gonna play the audio. I was gonna look for it. But he would never ever live around Black people. Basically, we're basically the scum of the earth. And then he may make a little comment like, not all of us. No, well, not every single one, but enough of us where he doesn't feel comfortable around us. But yet he's comfortable enough to go sit and talk to a panel of Black people. It was only Black people on the panel. I believe it was, because I've seen clips go on I know DJ Envy was there, but I don't believe Just Hilarious. So everyone except Just Hilarious was interviewing him. And from what I understand, if you look at the comments, because that's what I went to, child. I went straight to the comments to see what the people were saying. They have filtered these to make things seem like, oh, we're so glad that he was there. And I'm so glad to see you allowing different sides to speak. Let's just see. Thanks to the Breakfast Club for having the courage and class to host a respectful, thoughtful discussion with a leader on the other side of the aisle. I wish this happened more often. Let me tell you something. If that man was going up there bashing a certain demographic of people, that show would be taken off the air, just like Whoopi Goldberg had to sit down for two weeks or so for saying something about that protected class of people. But it's okay for someone who just disgustingly says the most racist things about us to be spotlighted, because I believe he's I think I read he's promoting a new book or something. This was great. Nobody screamed. Nobody threw immature insults. We need more of this. But this is where I like. This is one of the comments. They picked the wrong person to debate this man. I think Lauren has good points, but girl, this went way over your head. This is what I'm saying. If you, for some corporate reason, you have to bring someone like this onto the platform, you bring somebody like Angela Rye or Andrew Gullum or somebody that is part of Charlamagne's family of Black Effect. You bring somebody like Tiffany Cross, and maybe not Tiffany Cross, only because I need her to take a little vacation. She was so emotional this past week. But you bring somebody with the chutzpah to go toe to toe with this man about the disgusting things that he said. Here, I really appreciate the fact that they're diversifying their guests. You can't live in an echo chamber and expect to learn and grow. There's certain places and people we don't need to learn from. And the fact that this audience gears heavily minority, I'm going to venture to say, as somebody who worked in radio, so I'm going to say at least 90% of their audience is minority. And when I say minority, Black and brown minority. To have this man who can't stand the fact that we're breathing the same air that he breathes to be on this channel, absolutely disgusting. And so we really need to pay attention to the platforms that we're supporting. And so this has disgusted me enough, child. I don't care who comes next. I have no desire to support that channel, none whatsoever, because there's something funky going on. And so back to the other audio that I was going to play. Let's go ahead and listen. I'm not going to play it from, let me do share. I'm going to play the audio from my phone. And let's just hear what she had to say about community, which again, are just another validation that what we're doing on this channel is needed. So let's take a listen.
Right? Nobody to blame. That's just what we didn't do. So now let's take the reward of we have the ability to take collective action. We've already seen this playbook before. We got the playbook in 900 pages, right? We can split it up and figure out how to combat that. And we should take our communities back and take power in our communities. You don't want to educate us properly? It's okay. We'll educate them ourselves. And now we'll actually indoctrinate them, as y'all like to say, with the real. And the real is these people are racist. And it's all about race when it comes to them. Everything, our laws are written with race in the center. So there's no way that we will ever be a colorblind nation. I'll leave it at that.
So let me just play that one more time, child, because I'm sorry. I wanted y'all to see who was doing the speaking. I'm going to go through. This was from the Native Pod as well. This was 7 hours ago. And it talks about the Supreme Court lifts restrictions on profiling for ICE arrest in LA. We talked about that a little earlier. And so let me just play it from the beginning one more time. I'm not sure if you heard it, but yeah, this is where we're at, y'all. We need to build and create our own communities. I don't know why it's taking so long to play. Give me a second.
Educate our communities and take our power back. As folks did not let, because we are not at all excited about it. Right? Nobody to blame. That's just what we didn't do. So now let's take the reward of we have the ability to take collective action. We've already seen this playbook before. We got the playbook in 900 pages, right? We can split it up and figure out how to combat that. And we should take our communities back and take power in our communities. You don't want to educate us properly? It's okay. We'll educate them ourselves. And now we'll actually indoctrinate them, as y'all like to say, with the real. And the real is these people are racist. And it's all about race when it.
So again, I just wanted to overstate so that everyone understands that the need to be in community, and I will say it time and time again, I do not care what community. Well, I do care what community you're in. I want you to be in a community with people that are willing to do the work, people that are willing to do the work at different levels, meaning from everything that's going to be necessary. She talked about education, we talk about health. Let's throw the legal into there. Let's throw finances. Like all of the things is why we need to be in community. And again, we start our RAIN Society community. We're going to get into some more news in a second, but I would be remiss without saying this. We start the RAIN Society membership community this Saturday with your one-on-ones with our wealth advisor, our counsel. He's one of the founders of the RAIN Society, Hakeem Webb. So if you are on here and you have not clicked to sign up and secure your space, I believe almost everybody did except 2 people. So, and that may have changed since I spoke to him earlier today, but go ahead, get those spots because Saturday is the one-on-one sessions with him to put together, draw out a map to see where you are, and you give as much information as you want. I sent you guys a prompt via email to try to, set up the perfect questions so that you're not wasting time just in case you are not sure what to ask. But the RAIN Society is going to be a multi-level, multi-layered society of experts that are going to take us through this new normal that we are part of. Legally Hype, who's an actual attorney, and her story is so amazing. I followed her on TikTok for a while. But anyway, community is important. So whatever community you get in, make sure it's one that's going to help you through all the things down the road, right? It's not just going to be about money. It's not just going to be about jobs. It's not just going to be about health. It's going to be about all the things. And so the link is in the description. And let me see what the last two topics are so we could get you out of here. The link is in the description. I am actually going to put it here as well because I should have society. And you could read more about it if you click the link. So let's go ahead and see what the last two topics are. Well, we kind of talked about Angela Rye and, the Black woman's trauma that is happening. I do need to just close out some of these tabs. There we go. But I kind of want to do, it had me kind of concerned, and I'm not going to harp on this topic because when we did the questionnaire, I believe it was on Sunday, or maybe it was Saturday. I don't remember, but we did the questionnaire to everybody who was live. Who's feeling anxious? And it was 72% of the respondents are feeling anxious. And all I can say to that is that's how they want you to feel. It's psychological warfare. That's how they get you in control. Psychological warfare. But when you think like they think, one of the books that I asked you guys to get and read back in November was The Art of War. Another one is The 48 Laws of Power. Another one was The Four Agreements, but let's just stick with the first two that I talked about. Am I anxious? Absolutely not. I'm activated. Boy, am I activated. Anxious? Hell no. Everything is figure outable. Everything has a solution. And when you train, when you arm yourself, when you are prepared, then the anxiety goes away. And so that's what I want for all of us. And I don't even mean just the people in today listening right now. I'm talking about all of us. I don't want us to be scared and anxious. And that sat with me. And that may be why I didn't really sleep last night too much. But I mean, I'm like, I really don't want us to do what they want to do to us. I don't want us to respond the way they want us to respond. And I know it's sometimes easier said than done, but again, oh my gosh, please, please, please. Let's just do all the things to stay ready so we don't have to get ready, so that we lose that anxiety. Because listen, I just don't want us to be anxious. I don't want to go too deep on that. So I was going to talk more about Tiffany Cross and what's happening with some of our media personalities. They're breaking down. And I said this, I was like, there is no way that these people could continue to cover the chaos and confusion that is directly attacking them, their livelihoods, their friends, their family, their finances, all the things, without a breaking point. And that includes people like Abby Phillips, which I don't even know how she does it. It includes anybody like Joy Ann Reid, all of the people that have to cover this man and have been covering this man for the past 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years and the antics. There will be a breaking point. But again, give yourself a chance to cry and breathe, but then get back in formation. Get back in formation. And that's why another reason I'm so happy about, the experts that will be part of our advisory council, which will include, like I said, negotiators, like high-level sales negotiators, because there will be times where you may not even know you're going to have to negotiate some things, right? And you may not know how to do it the most effective way to get the yes. Well, we're going to make sure you know how to do it. We're going to have attorneys. We're going to have health advocates. We're going to have everything that is going to be required to fast forward us to our new normal of this world and how to stay competitive, how to stay protected, and how to stay financially okay. And so, anywho, the last topic that I wanted to address, well, there's more, so let me pick one. Well, let's talk about what is happening as it relates to. I also have this on. I'll go through both of them. So Florida is Florida, y'all. We heard about what is happening with the new laws as it relates to, getting the things in your arm, right? And that includes children. And so Florida is the Peachtree dish for what they want this country to look like. And they have no problems, being the test market and seeing where they're going to get pushback and how to the strategy. Like, these people have mastered the art of war. They have mastered the 48 laws of power. And if you are not reading and paying attention, listen, do an Audible, find a way to get through these books quick, because I promise you, you will pick up some strategy which is going to be needed and necessary as we move forward. We're going to talk about these strategies in the RAIN Society, but if you are not part of the RAIN Society, please do yourself a favor and armor yourself. It will lessen the anxiety. It will lessen the fear. I promise you. I promise you it will. I promise you. So Florida is doing their thing, but then also the last thing I wanted to talk about, it's what's going on with our military. And the man who was able to dodge the draft, that is now leading the military, is now calling strikes without the approval of Congress, which is not supposed to happen. So now from the Caribbean Sea, they are shooting down ships that they claim have member of the cartels, right? We don't know that to be true. I've heard pushback on that. I've heard that it wasn't true. And so what is that going to mean when he calls the armed forces to do things that may or may not affect people of color? What is that going to mean? It means we need to stay ready. That's exactly what that's going to mean. And so I really want us to truly do our due diligence and pay attention, not to all the news. And that's why I'm doing the what a week, because I only want to focus on things that we should be paying attention to. Let's just go over what I talked about. So Tabitha Brown, listen, God bless her. God bless her. Ain't no jobs. Ain't no jobs, Cousin Tab. But there are ways to make money. We talked about Lisa, Miss Lisa from the Federal Reserve, finding out that she may not have a job after no one ever being fired from the Federal Reserve in over 111 years. That just shows you how they don't want us to have jobs, right? Of all the people in the Federal Reserve, yeah, she was the target. We also talked about, let me just get back to the Breakfast Club and why we need to really pay attention to the entertainment outlets that we waste our time or spend our time with, because there's something super sinister at play when it's okay for this person to be highlighted on, and let me just see the ratings if it'll come up real quick. What are the ratings for the Breakfast Club? Oh. What are the audience ratings? I got the feedback from if people like it or not. So It's still giving me, you know what? So I should have did it this way. What are the news? It's not ratings for the Breakfast Club. iHeart. They get supposedly 6 million monthly listeners. Supposedly. I believe it's more than that because the podcast has over 1 billion downloads. Over 1 billion downloads. And it says that they are in reaches an average daily audience of 4 million listeners plus. That's a lot of people that they're influencing. And so we need to do better. We need to boycott. We need to listen. If you want this type of rhetoric and information, and you're supporting this, then we can't support you. And so let me just see who else. And then we talked about Mayor Bowser. We talked about, the grace that I think sometimes is necessary. I hear the frustration. Trust me, I'm nervous for the people that I know in DC. But I also know that this is an ugly game of politics. Horrible game of politics. And I can't even imagine what conversation was had with her to make her do a pivot like that. And then we finished up with the Florida health situation and then the strikes in the Caribbean on ships. I will not be taking no cruise no time soon. The damage that is being done will take several generations to undo, and it hasn't even been a year. Oh yeah, 100%. Several generations. You're right. It's going to get worse, and you don't see how it even gets better. Better for this country or better for you? I mean, there's certain questions that you need to ask yourself. Like, there's just certain questions we need to ask ourselves. And let me just make sure. Was she speaking to someone or just in general? I have no idea. I'm just going by the fact that she put it on. If you speaking to someone, I don't understand. If I need to have a conversation with a friend, I'm not putting it on a social media platform. So, but that's just me. And she a grown woman. So I would hope she would have a little bit more, well, and I know she does, so I'm not even going to insult her. But Christine said, jobs are not dangling off trees. We're out here getting fired for no reason. What the fuck is she talking? Exactly. Or not hired for no good reason. A few years ago, she mentioned that she has a skill of receiving messages for people from God. She should have specified who did. Thank you. Right. And listen, I believe in people who have that anointing, or that some people may call it clairvoyance, whatever you want to call it. I, at times, have something similar, right? Hers seems to be, much deeper. Like she really has conversations and sees people and stuff. I get messages. Like when it's time for me to do things, I do it. But you're right. She needed to be way more specific. Yeah, I think this is why Andrew Gillum don't want to run for public office again. He hates the bully tactics used when they want what they want. Yeah. And now that they have, again, watch that movie, The Order. I can't remember if it's on Netflix or Prime, but they've been planning this. They've been having meetings about this. This is no joke. This is nothing new. They were waiting for the day that they could take over Congress, the White House, and all the things. And yeah, they have and the Supreme Court. Yeah. So anyway, everyone, I hope to be back, God willing, next week with another What a Week, What a Week. I will be back. Today is Tuesday. I will be back Thursday. I think I have a video that's coming out tomorrow. But yeah, we definitely need to stay connected. And for those that's in the Flawless family, I hope that email goes out this weekend. By this weekend, we're going to try to start this month with a game night versus a conversation, and we could catch up then. I need to find out also when LJ and Shell's going to be, because they're the traveling bunnies, boy. I hope that wasn't disrespectful. Yeah, they're the traveling sisters. That's what I'll say. And so I want to make sure they're available. So anyway, hopefully I'll be back live on Thursday, but I will post by tomorrow if that's doable or not. Anyway, if you haven't hit the like button, go ahead. If you're not part of the Gym Nation, all you got to do is hit that subscribe button. Subscribe. I don't know why I'm having the hardest time saying that word these past couple of weeks. Subscribe. Yeah. Hit that subscribe button. And we will be back on Thursday live. And I'm not sure if that's a daytime one. Anyway, I'll post it in the community tab and I'll send out an email to the Flawless people. Until Thursday, you guys have a good evening. And child, what a week, what a week, what a week. What a week. And that wasn't even everything I wanted to cover, but in the sake of time, in the interest of time, we've been here an hour and 16 minutes. I'm going to say good night. Good night, everyone.